Hello, my name is Prominent. So today I decided to wear glasses. As you see, I'm wearing glasses, and because as a young boy, I always thought, this is what it means to be intelligent, wearing glasses. And still today, there is a lot of stereotypical stories about glasses. The first time I wore glasses, my friends actually called me a geek. This is a single story that is being formed by everyone. But today, I'm not going to talk about that. Today, I want to talk about cultural values with stereotypes and single stories that bring those stereotypes. Now, I live in Alberton, Eguruleni in South Africa. We call ourselves a rainbow nation. And we are so proud of who we are as a nation because we have 11 official languages. Meaning that we have 11 cultural values that are officially recognized by our South African government. Plus, we have a lot of multiple foreigners that come seeking for refugees, better education, better job opportunities, better health. Now, what is there not to be proud of as a country? Yes, they say we are proudly South African. When we wear the jersey of Springboks, the jersey of Proteas, the jersey of Bafana, we talk with one universal language. There is sports. We don't see culture. We don't see color. But today, I'm not going to talk about that. Today, I want to talk about the single stories and the stereotypical ideas that we have as a country around our borders. Now, you may wonder, why did I start with those glamorous words that I used? To be honest, as a country, we have a great opportunity or a great potential to be a world-class country or a world-class nation if we put aside the single stories and the stereotypical ideas that we build about each other, about the foreign nationals that come into our country. And as I was doing a research around the stereotypes and around the single stories that we do have, I came across this definition. Stereotypes serve two primary functions. Number one, sorry, I lost my place. Number one, a knowledge of function. For example, they present and streamline information about groups. And number two, a justification function. They rationalize or experienced group differences. Now, as a nation, we have built stereotypes from single stories that we hear as kids, or that we hear from our peers, or from the groups that we hang in. For example, when growing up, I always believed that Venda is a capital city of witchcraft. Now, to be honest with you, I was very scared to ever set my foot there because I always thought I'll come out there with the witch on my back. But around this, I've learned to build out of single stories, because in 2014 I was offered a job opportunity in Venda. To my surprise, Venda and all the single stories that I heard about it was not what I heard, because those people treated me as a rainbow nation. They showed me what is Ubuntu, the thing that or the slogan that we define ourselves with. I learned that the single stories were not true, because it was the single stories that were told in our backyards here in Johannesburg. Now, I watch a lot of Trevor Noah's videos, and I think to myself, this guy, he built his comedy around the true stories that happen in South Africa. And one video is, "It's My Culture." In that video, he sums up what stereotypes that we have built around our national teams. Now, as a young boy, I used to think rugby is for white people and soccer is for black people. And I grew up knowing that. I grew up understanding that, I'll have to be good in soccer, not in rugby. Because as a black person, I'll not be accepted in that community. But this stereotype and single story just held me back from trying to understand another culture, from trying to understand my fellow countrymen. And he also mentioned that a Nigerian will go and watch soccer, but watch soccer when Nigeria is playing South Africa. And when he is staying in South Africa, he will support South Africa. And many men will ask him, "Why are you supporting South Africa?" He will say, "I'm supporting my life." Why that story? Because there is something that we call xenophobia. To me, we are sugarcoating racism and giving it a fancy name. Racism is not only around black and white, but it can be black against black. Because of this, we have our justice system has brushed down the xenophobia killings, the xenophobia brutal attacks. Like, for example, a Mozambican man was killed, but our justice system didn't do anything. The story was swept under the carpet. Was that family given justice? Was that family given closure to why their son was killed, to why their father was killed, to why their brother was killed? To be honest with you, xenophobia is built around single stories and the stereotypes that we have built. Now, if I mention to you Zimbabwe or Ethiopia, what comes into mind? I'll tell you. Poverty comes into mind. Poor people come into mind. Hunger come into mind. Not all people from Zimbabwe are poor. Not all people from Ethiopia are poor. And there's another funny Nigerian stereotypical story that we have, or single story that we have about Nigerians. To be honest with you, if a Nigerian moved in a society before I started doing this subject, I would have told you, please up your system, because here's a drug lord. Because that's the single story that I have about a Nigerian. And if I mention Muslim to you, what comes into mind? To me, I would say, you know what, here comes a Muslim, take a dive because he might be wearing a bomb vest. He might be wearing a suicide bomb vest. And in those stereotypical stories, we have lost our image as a rainbow nation. We have lost that pride that we have as a nation. I mean, what has happened to the slogan, Umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, meaning I cannot survive without any other human being. If you notice, there is no hidden clause that states that foreigners are animals in the slogan. And the slogan was created by the South Africans for the South Africans. and in and anyone around in South Africa. And I came to understand what culture is. In contrast to personal identity, collective identity involves connection to a group of people outside of self and answers the question as a member of my group. If as an individual I understand my identity, I can identify with my culture, I can identify with other cultures, and I can also identify with my nation. But to achieve this, we need to instill this in our children as a country. We need to stop telling the single stories that build stereotypes around our borders. And here's another funny story. As a young boy, I believed that white people were meant to be richer and black people were meant to be poor. But hey, I discovered, no, only hard work defines who you are. And it defines whether you are going to be poor or rich. So I see most foreigners coming to this country for opportunities that we waste away, for opportunities that we do not embrace because we are waiting, and we are waiting on the government to give us handouts. As a country, we need to be a nation that stands up and embrace who we are and embrace our rich cultures, our rich languages that we have. To my surprise, one day, the first time I saw a white homeless person, I thought to myself, we as human beings are the same. Whether white, Chinese, Indian, black, colored, we are the same. And we as a nation, we have all these people, and we live together. I remember in 1995, in the World Cup, every person stood behind the Springboks. Every person wore that jersey with pride. We were proud of our nation. We were proud of who we are. In my opinion, that is where Rainbow Nation was born, because we decided to become one. As a nation, we have called ourselves Rainbow Nation. In essence, we have already embraced anyone and everyone in our community. If you haven't, please ask yourself, why are you saying, I am proudly South African? To my South African leaders, why is racism and xenophobia looming in our parliament? Because this feud is filtering in our communities, and havoc is following these mistakes that you make on national television. Mr. President, what is your answer to the cry of your people? How can you instill back our pride as a Rainbow Nation? Let us be proud as a nation, and let us avoid being too prideful, because with pride comes envy and greed. In this, I want to close and say to my fellow South Africans, what have we become, and what do we want to become as a nation? Let's build South Africa to its former glory. Let's build South Africa to a better nation.